Happiness is an emotion, joy is a state. Feelings are amazing. I acknowledge them, I have them, God gives them. But I do not let my feelings lead me, direct me, control me. I acknowledge them, I will feel them, I will not deny them, but they're my servant, not my master. When we make enthusiasm a feeling, we set ourselves up for constant failure. Enthusiasm increases dopamine, dopamine increases enthusiasm. You can change an organization, a culture, and a team by switching on or turning up dopamine within an organization. If you can increase norepinephrine, you're going to increase business success. Enthusiasm is a vital emotional state. Now, let me just clear the air. Enthusiasm is not a feeling. It's a state. Did you know that happiness is a feeling, joy is a state? And you can feel joy when you're not happy? And you can love someone at times you don't like? I mean, I think my wife would say that to me probably. I really love you, but I don't like you right now. I totally get that. So, happiness is an emotion, joy is a state. So let me give you an example. When Christ is in Gethsemane, whatever is going on in that man's soul and brain is strong enough that he's sweating drops of blood. By the way, there's a whole physiological and medical and scientific explanation behind all that. But here's the interesting thing. Do you think Jesus was happy at that moment? I sure don't think so. He is carrying the weight of the world, and he's literally about to carry the weight of the world. And he's smart enough to understand what crucifixion is. He knows what he's about to go through, and he's going to go through it for people that don't even like him. It's one thing to die for your family. It's another to die for people that don't even care about you anyway. So he's about to go through something for people that don't care about him. And they're not going to say thank you when it's over. And he's sweating drops of blood, and I do not believe personally that he's happy in that moment. But what do you do for the joy set before him? He endured that. So he had a joy in a moment that he had no happiness. So I say that to say this, that happiness is not, enthusiasm is not a feeling. If you believe it is, and that's what you run after, you're going to be let down on a consistent basis. I can operate in a posture of enthusiasm even when everything circumstantially is firing against me, because I'm not going by what I feel, I'm going by the state that I create. Here's what I mean by that. Feelings, and there's a difference between emotions and feelings, that's another topic. There is biologically as well, or neurologically, But feelings are gifts. God has feelings, and God gives us feelings. They are incredible servants, but they're lousy leaders. And many times where we go awry is we allow what we're feeling to give direction to our life. And feelings are amazing. I acknowledge them, I have them, God gives them. But I do not let my feelings lead me, direct me, control me. I acknowledge them, I will feel them, I will not deny them, but they're my servant, they're not my master. Does that make sense? I'm saying all that because when we make enthusiasm a feeling, we set ourselves up for constant failure. What I mean by failure is not necessarily tangible failure, but a mental sense of failure that we feel like we're always missing the mark because our enthusiasm is based upon what we're feeling in that moment. And a lot of times, I'm not feeling really good, but my state is different than what I'm feeling. So saying that from a definition perspective, really important that we get this down. Enthusiasm is an emotional state. Now it's characterized different. It's characterized by intense excitement and eagerness towards a particular, activity or a goal. So it manifests itself in a certain way, but it's not a feeling, it's a state. Now the manifestation of that state could be intense excitement. I'm feeling really excited right now. I'm feeling excited. But my enthusiasm is not my excitement. My excitement comes from my state of enthusiasm. Does that make sense, that the way that's formulated there? So there is feelings that can be attached to it, but in it itself, it's not a feeling. So it can be characterized by intense excitement and eagerness towards a particular activity or goals, I said, can manifest in various aspects of our life. So it can come out in work, especially somebody that's really passionate about what they do. It can come out in education, comes out in our personal relationship. I'm passionate about my kids. I am seriously passionate about my grandkids. Nicole, my daughter-in-law, her 3 girls, they just need to say, Papa, done. You want $1 million? I'll rob a bank for you. What do you want, honey? My oldest granddaughter, Mila, and we were telling you the other night at dinner, it's like, you know how you would take a bullet for your kids? Those of you that have grandkids, oh, no, that's 5 bullets. It's totally different. I mean, there's something about your grandchildren. So it comes out in your relationships. Now, I want to talk a little bit about understanding the neuroscience behind enthusiasm, because just like intimidation, there's a science to the state, non-feeling, but state of enthusiasm. And so I want to provide some mechanisms some insights into its mechanism, how it influences behavior, its implications for, not that I'm contradicting, but I say this, its implications towards personal development and of course mental health as well. So, enthusiasm is deeply rooted in 3 key areas. Number 1, there is a neurochemical process behind the creation of and the maintaining of a state of enthusiasm. Number 2, there is a neurophysiological aspect to enthusiasm. Now, I'm going to use the word control in a healthy state or healthy way. When you understand these 3 keys I'm sharing with you, then you're empowered and enabled now to control your state. But I'm not using the word control from a perspective of manipulation. I'm controlling this. Because there are some people that are in control, but they're not controlling. Controlling is a whole different spirit. So, I like to be in control, but I am not a controlling person. I'm comfortable when I'm in control, and I'm comfortable when I'm not. But I'm not a controlling person. But when you look at these 3 things that I'm sharing with you, it enables you to have that healthy measure of control. So, neurophysiological, again, several key brain regions responsible for enthusiasm, and then neuropsychological. So let's start right now with the neurochemical. And what you're going to see, interestingly enough, I love our title of intimidation versus enthusiasm, because there are often the same chemicals and same brain structures and regions that are involved in intimidation that are equally involved in enthusiasm. One's distorted and destructive, and one is healthy and leads to better, more constructive results. So let's talk about dopamine for a moment. Dopamine is known as the reward chemical. Dopamine is known as the reward neurotransmitter. Dopamine is critical for motivation. Because dopamine, again, I'm giving you some pretty simplistic definitions, even though it's a deep dive, so there's a lot more to dopamine than I'm going to tell you in a minute or 2. But dopamine, critical for motivation and the experience of pleasure. Now remember, I said intimidation is part of its grip. It wants to remove pleasure from you. We talked about anhedonia, that disorder, and the inability to experience pleasure. Well, what dopamine does here is dopamine enhances the sense of pleasure. So with intimidation, if I could think of it this way, intimidation runs after dopamine to shut off the valve. Enthusiasm, in a healthy way, runs towards dopamine, again, in a healthy way, to turn on the valve. So with intimidation, decrease in the neurotransmitter of dopamine. With enthusiasm, same chemical, but an increase of this, okay? If you see enthusiasm as a feeling and not a state, your dopamine dial will be going like this. I mean, it will just be one frustrating endeavor. But when it's a state, can I say this respectfully, you're in control of your dopamine switch. So what happens is when individuals engage in activities that they find enjoyable, rewarding, when enthusiasm is present, the dopamine dial is getting turned up and dopamine is being released. Now, some people, again, a whole different topic, develop addictions to dopamine. That can become a very serious thing as well. We won't go there today, but just for simplicity's sake, when I'm enthusiastic or I have a state of enthusiasm, dopamine goes up. I get these enhanced feelings of, people will often describe when the dopamine faucet's turned on, this sense, and I'm not talking about pride or arrogance, that's possible, but let's not go there at the moment. People will describe this sense of almost invincibility and power. They just feel this sense of, I could do this. You see it a lot in athletes, really good, strong athletes that are good at their game, know how to control their dopamine. And a lot of times it's done, please don't, this is not New Age. I hate it when the New Age robs the believers of what's actually our birthright and our inheritance. And the problem is we were scared to deal with it, so they took it. Visualization. One particular athlete, working with an athlete, is a track star, is coming out of tunnel. You say to the person, are you nervous? Absolutely not. Why not? He said, I've run this race 1,000 times before in my head. Hold on a second. In your head? The dopamine faucet's on. Now, dopamine impacts not only vision, it impacts this sense of, I can do this. There's the puffing out of the chest in a good way. It impacts muscles. I mean, the ability not only for creativity, strategic planning, but physiological endeavors are increased when dopamine's increased. Enthusiasm increases dopamine. Dopamine increases enthusiasm. Does that make sense? Okay. So what happens is it also creates within us this sense of desire towards achievement. Now, I'm not talking about this negative performance orientation that my value and everything is found in what I achieve. That's not what I'm talking about here. But I'm saying when enthusiasm is high, the anticipation and now the ability to achieve goals goes through the roof. So one of the things that we'll often do in consulting, I've had times where I'm sitting with an executive team and we have a bizarre approach to building companies and helping them make a lot of money, and it's a neuroscience approach. It's a really bizarre niche, but it works. I'll go into a boardroom and I put up like brain scans, like, what are you doing? Like, aren't you going to give us the 5 steps toward profitability? No. Well, I want you to look at some brain scans. So here's some brain scans. See those little lights right there? This is that area of the brain. This is that area of the brain. See that? You see, it looks kind of small, doesn't it? The average person's function at about 12 to 14% in that area, part of your default mode network, which empowers you to make strategic solutions to find answers to problems. If the average person is running at 12 to 14%, what if we can help you achieve 19? What happens now? It's doable. That's the power. That's the neuroscience of enthusiasm. You can change an organization, a culture, and a team by switching on or turning up dopamine within an organization. Are you with me on this? Okay. The second one is, and not only this, I'll just say that dopamine really enables you or empowers you not only to pursue objectives, but to obtain those objectives and maintain them once they're in place. The second one, serotonin. Now, we often hear serotonin is all about depression. When it's down, I feel awful. When it's up, I feel okay. Well, serotonin is the neurotransmitter, basically, that regulates mood and emotional well-being. Is it tied to depression and lack thereof? Of course it is. But it's really the main neurotransmitter that regulates mood and emotional well-being. So elevated serotonin levels can lead to a positive feelings, and greater enthusiasm towards various tasks. A balanced serotonin system, you ready for this? Contributes to the enhancement of resilience. Boy, do we ever need some resilience in our world today. I mean, to anybody who's in business, to me, business is a gladiator sport. Like, seriously, you want to own a business, you can be a gladiator, man. Marcus Aurelius, like, it's a gladiator sport out there. And you need patience, power, resilience. Serotonin is responsible for enthusiasm, for positive feelings, towards various tasks. The balanced dopamine system said it contributes to resilience, but not only resilience, but the creation and enhancement of an optimistic outlook. Now, when it's unhealthy and it's false, there's such a thing called toxic optimism. You know, I fell and I broke my leg, but I'm going to speak to my leg. It's not broken. It's not broken. So, no, it's broken. No, I'm not going to declare that negative confession. So then I try to walk, I fall. I walk, I fall. I walk, I fall. Somebody said, "Would you please go to the hospital? I rebuke you in Jesus' name." No, there's such a thing as toxic optimism. But what serotonin does is it creates a healthy form of positive and realistic optimism. So I'm saying that to say this. Sometimes, are you ready for this? Sometimes intimidation wants you to be really, really optimistic, unrealistically, because it's setting you up for failure. So you're like, I am so positive, intimidation can't even come near me. Watch me, man, give me a brick to eat. And what you don't realize is actually intimidation right now that's running you. Because it's patient. And it doesn't care how long it takes. It's setting you up for the crash. Toxic optimism, in my opinion, is driven more by intimidation than it is by healthy positivity. Are you with me on that? Does that make sense in describing that? So let's go to the next chemical, the third one, norepinephrine. That's involved in the body's stress response. So norepinephrine affects arousal. Now, I will safely say in the context of adults, the good arousal too. Y'all know what I'm saying? It's involved in arousal. Oh, arousal. I admit I could do this. I'm pumped. I'm aroused. Well, the other kind of arousal too. So norepinephrine, it's involved in body stress response. It's involved in affecting arousal and, listen to this, alertness. There are times where brain fog, where concentration, cognitive diminishing, as I said, there's a result of intimidation. But sometimes I've had people, my brain is fogged, I can't think. I hear something like this, I'm blocked, I'm stuck. I often know when I hear with a business person when they're talking about being stuck or being blocked, or they're describing what they'll use these terms of a mind fog, there's a spirit of intimidation oftentimes behind that. And that spirit of intimidation is causing a reduction in the release of norepinephrine. So my energy goes down, my focus goes down, but with enthusiasm, and there's the increase of norepinephrine, and norepinephrine is increasing, enthusiasm, what happens now, it leads to a heightened sense of energy and focus. So now my concentration abilities, and I tell you honestly guys, from a consulting perspective with business, my gosh, you get your team turned on to greater degrees of release of norepinephrine, and their focus and their good sense of hypervigilance and their this alertness is turned on. Again, I'm going from that 12% usage to maybe 23% usage of my brain's capacity. So my ability to creatively strategize is going through the roof. My focus, my ability to problem solve. So what is happening? I know, I'm anointed. Well, yeah, probably, but your norepinephrine's gone up. If you can increase norepinephrine, you're going to increase business success. You're going to increase personal success because you're impacting energy, focus. Listen to this. It makes tasks more easier to engage in and make it enjoyable. When you're passionate about something and you enjoy something, you ever notice how much stronger you are? And how, I'm talking about physical strength, like I love my job, watch me bench press. No, I'm saying that strength, that tenacity, that resilience, you just get more accomplished, like you're in flow. Flow is a result of several things, but flow is a result of there's an increase in my norepinephrine levels. So tasks are I'm more engaged, it's more enjoyable, there's enthusiasm going through the roof. Am I describing things that you think would really help a business grow? Yeah. Like seriously, like here's Taylor Ray, we're giving $10,000 of consulting in 10 minutes. Change the neurochemistry of your team and yourself and watch what happens. You start with enthusiasm. Because enthusiasm changes your neurochemistry changes your enthusiasm. Is this making sense? Okay. The next one, endorphins. These are your natural painkillers. I have 2 tattoos. One is, and I hope if you see tattoos as a bad thing, pretend I didn't say this. We'll edit that from the video. I have 2 tattoos. One is I have my family coat of arms. When my dad died, wanted to honor my father, so I got our family coat of arms here. My son was going to get it. Beautiful. So I get it done. He's doing something. He's going to come back. He's ready to get his done. I'll come back in about an hour and see. I come back. He's slumped over one of these massage chairs with his face in a donut. I'm like, what are you doing? I've got the tattoo here. His is about this big in the middle of his back. Oh, no. So here's the interesting. I have family coat of arms, and I have the term honor. And from a Jewish perspective, long story, I want to get in Hebrew on my shoulder, Masada. That's a wonderful story about Masada. That's for another time. It's a deep dive into Masada. Anyway, when I went to get my tattoo done, are you ready for a vulnerable moment? You're going to be like, he's so honest and he just sucks. I go to get this tattoo done, and this guy who's going to tattoo me, he looks at me, he said, seriously? Exact words, seriously? I said, what do you mean? He said, you really put Emla cream on your arm? I said, what do you mean? He said, you put cream on your arm to numb the pain. I said, Yeah, I'm really strong, honestly. But yeah, I did. He said, we're going to wash it off. I said, why would you wash it off? I don't want to feel the pain. He said, I want you to feel the pain. I'm like, you sadomasochist tattoo artist. I didn't know, honestly. I'm thinking that. He said, I want you to feel the pain. I said, why would you want that? He said, because the pain is going to release the endorphins that are going to remove and reduce the pain. And so endorphins are your natural painkillers. Now think about this. Not from a physical perspective. You know, I'm trying to build a business and it hurts my lower back and my calves. No. We're talking about psychological pain, emotional pain, tenacity, resistance, persistence, patience, all those things necessary in building. When endorphins are released, it produces these feelings of euphoria within the mental structures that I'm able to face like hell and keep going and keep building. And whenever I'm working from a consulting perspective and someone is having challenges within business and they just feel like giving up, it's like, man, we need to release some endorphins, because it is going to enable you to push through that pain point towards the success that you're gifted for. Do you see, are you catching in these last 15 minutes here the power of neurochemistry in terms of enthusiasm? No wonder a Python spirit, no wonder intimidation does not want you to leave it and move towards enthusiasm, because enthusiasm, now you're armed and dangerous.